Welcome back to Story Reckless. My name's Nathan. I usually am your DM these evenings. I use he, him pronouns. However, this evening, I guess I'm going to be sort of a host. I don't know. It's all three of us being hosts. But with that being said, let's pass it over.
My name's Claire. My pronouns are they, them. Usually I play Quidam, half-elf brave cleric, but I am now one of three hosts for the evening.
And my name is Olive. I use they and she pronouns. And usually I play Lovelace, centaur, multifaceted job descriptor. But today I am merely Olive, another host for this evening. I'm also in a new place because I just moved to Portland.
Yeah.
It's cold here.
How cold?
32 degrees.
Is it really 30? You said a different number.
Did it drop?
Did I?
Yes.
4 degrees.
Yeah.
You know,
You said it
relatedly,
wasn't
I
a
moved to
real
Portland.
temperature, though.
Portland is 14 hours away from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So I'm all here tonight. Great.
Yay! Well, with that, so for those of you that are unaware, tonight we're just doing a postmortem on our last adventure. So we're just going to be hanging out, talking about it, answering any questions that pop up in chat, so please feel free to ask. And then we have some questions of our own that we're going to be asking ourselves. So to kick it off, let's see,
Do you want to maybe recap the whole arc for folks just to jog people's memories about what happened?
Yeah, not bad. That's a great idea. Yeah. So for this arc, Quidam and Lovelace were tasked with their patron Box of Screws to find this village, this mining village that may or may not exist, called Vermilion. The village had access to a rich platinum mine, and then a tragic accident occurred, and eventually the village was abandoned and was lost, according to a storybook that Box of Screws found. Box of Screws, however, was convinced it may be real due to some talkings of regional things in the book, and Quidam and Lovelace headed down, found the village, and discovered that the tragedy was... There was an explosion that occurred, but the remainder of the tragedy was a result of these fey creatures known as meanlocks. And as Quidam and Lovelace battled with psychic torment from these creatures, they eventually uncovered the mysteries of what happened, rid the town of the meanlocks, which was a challenging thing to go through. We will go through some questions revolving around that.
Quidam cried, and it was sad.
It was.
Because, we had to solve a problem with violence, and the things that we were violencing towards weren't, malicious. I mean, sure, they kidnapped people and, tortured them until, they turned into more meanlocks, but it's because they were hurt.
Yes. But it was truly sad. There was a lot of things they uncovered about these people that lived there and that were turned into the meanlocks. But at the end of the day, they were conflicted as to whether or not to reveal to the Box of Screws whether there was platinum in the mine or not. Ultimately, they decided to reveal this.
There was no decision reached.
I mean, we'll say Lovelace decided not to lie to Manfred. Yeah. There was some drama that went down. We can go into a little more detail.
Attempted murder.
Attempted murder.
Play it up a little bit. I stopped it.
Yeah. Manfred did not like the fact that Renwyn knew that there was platinum in that mine. I wanted to silence him while you were both out in the wilderness. And yeah, the adventure came to a close with the two of you heading back to the town of Marin, where there were some survivors from Vermilion, and you spread the tale of what actually happened. Much to Manfred's displeasure. So, with that, I wanted to kick it off. Speaking of Manfred, so Manfred being the companion you're traveling with, that Box of Screws sent along with you. was kind of keeping an eye on you and was there as an expert to confirm whether or not there was platinum. I want to ask both of you, what were your feelings about Manfred before he tried to kill Renwyn? And then how did those feelings change after the incident?
Quidam. Oh, go ahead.
No, go. It's all you.
Quidam was definitely of the opinion that you didn't get as high ranking in the guild as Manfred has gotten without being capable of various kinds of dirty work. That didn't stop them from liking him. They still like him. They were disappointed to find that Manfred was willing to commit cold-blooded murder in the middle of the night by killing a sleeping person. But they're not surprised that he was capable of it.
Yeah. What about you, Lovelace / Olive?
I was charmed by his attempts to stay secret. He seemed like a total dweeb. So there was some like jock dweeb interaction going on, being like, I'd dunk you into a trash can if there was a trash can in our hand.
Poor kid.
I don't think Lovelace really thought through like his position in the guild. Probably like he was just like some hired expert that Box of Screws also had dirt on. I think I didn't realize like how loyal he was to Box of Screws initially. Certainly like the fact that he was willing to commit murder just like out of fear, or just like, I know Box of Screws well enough that this is what she'd want.
Did that change Lovelace's opinion?
Yeah, I think it's like yeah, because like we basically moved ourselves into opposition, being like, we're going to act against your interests, your expressed interests.
Yeah.
And I think Lovelace was a lot more willing to do that after she saw that he was like just kind of like spineless in that way. Or just like scared enough to like, I don't know, commit a murder in cold blood.
Yeah. Wing Inscribed, I believe the question was in response to the revealing the platinum. Do you want to speak to that? Why did Lovelace make the choice to reveal the platinum to Manfred?
Yeah, so I think I talked about this a little bit out of character during the show, being like, out of character, what are the stakes here? It's, do we let this thing just like slip into obscurity, or do we just like start the cycle anew? But hopefully different this time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think Lovelace is not great at letting buried things stay buried. I think it's like Lovelace is confrontational.
Yeah.
And just letting something slip away like that feels like running away from it, or like not being willing to like face up to it in some way. So I think that's like, maybe like if Quidam had like expressed a strong alternate plan, she could have been convinced, but I think she went with her gut there, just being like, nah, we're not gonna like just let this slide. We're gonna do it again, and we're gonna do it better. Which is why we moved to kind of like let word get out of like what had happened and trying to get like leverage and like setting up it to go better this next time.
I'm really curious at your connection between telling Manfred that there is platinum here and telling people what happened. Those seem like two different things in my mind. One is, this is the current state of the world that is immediately relevant to the benefit of the guild, and here is what has been happening for the past 70 years. And I when we were talking about like whether to tell the story, like tell people what's been going on here or not, I thought that we were agreeing to tell the story of what's been happening for the past 70 years. But why on earth would we help the guild?
Yeah, that's good. That's a good question.
So when Lovelace told Manfred that there was platinum, Quidam was like, in their head, what the fuck? What on earth is going on here? But
why didn't you say that out loud?
Because Manfred was right there.
Well, we talked about it beforehand.
Yeah, but
a little
we
bit.
had a miscommunication.
Yeah. Huh.
Delicious.
Well, ain't too late for Manfred to run into an accident.
Oh no.
It would be extremely convenient if Manfred didn't make it back to Baldur's Gate. That's Clara saying that.
Manfred, no murdering cold blood. Snap cut 2.
Yeah. The like low angle harsh light like looking down. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I had instant regrets, I think. It's just like, oh no, why would this is just gonna help the guild? Like in any way, even like telling folks about like what the story was. Yeah, I don't know. I think Lovelace made a bad call.
It's good.
Yeah,
Those mistakes
gotta live with that now.
Yeah, Quidam thinks so too. We might have a conversation in character about it at some point. That's cool.
I wanted to ask. I'll start with Quidam because Lovelace just had a question. I wanted to know from Quidam how Quidam feels about Sehanine after the events of the mine. After everything that happened, Quidam had all those visions leading up to it.
Yeah. Quidam is feeling content for now. They were not happy with Quidam's a lot more comfortable giving than receiving. And so just being given all of these powers was unnerving, especially because they had no idea why or for what purpose. I mean, so being asked for something in return, even just being given a task, was extremely reassuring. They are comfortable enough with themselves and their place in the world to not need complete understanding of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They believe themselves incapable of fully understanding a god.
That's, it's funny because I do feel like you sometimes get the trope of either for clerics or paladins that they will understand, like the messages that come through. They're the like interpreter, right? The person that's supposed to deliver those messages. So maybe it's because part of it is because Quidam's still like so new to all these powers coming in. But yeah, it's nice to see Quidam have that struggle of like and understanding like I'm not gonna know what all this means.
Mm-hmm. And like part of that might end up being that I or Quidam misinterpret things.
Was it Sehanine who brought you to the entrance of the Meanlocks thing? How did you find that again? Like you were kind of wandering around being empathetic?
Yeah. I think that was just Quidam.
Huh.
Because I wasn't reaching out to Sehanine at that point. It was just Quidam sending out their own awareness.
You're talking about the entrance when you were inside the mine and
Yeah.
could see the
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So content for now. It's a
Content
short
for now.
answer.
Yeah. All of this is entirely up to you if you want to answer this or not, because this has not been really revealed yet. But Weezy's asks, who's the young centaur that Lovelace was being tormented with?
I feel like this is an interesting situation that we've like talked about a little bit. Like we have character backstories, and then like what's the best way to like kind of reveal them? Like what's the most interesting way? And I feel like just laying it out isn't super interesting, but also just like being hush hush about it.
Well,
like
I think
isn't so.
I think it's fine to keep that close to the chest for now. I'd rather that this, something like that comes out in narrative, but it is your character, so I will let you.
Okay, let's do a vague but evocative hint.
Okay, go for it.
Everything that I can think of is like maybe a little bit too obvious. It's how Quidam met Lovelace involves this centaur.
Yeah.
It's
good.
how we met.
Good.
The first time.
Excellent. This is a very broad question for both of you. And I don't know, maybe it's too broad, but how do you think Lovelace and Quidam have changed, if they've changed, after the events of the mine? Like this whole arc. Do you think there's any significant changes that have occurred, or do you think there's still...
I think Lovelace has been pushed to the point of saying, like, we cannot keep having our cake and eating it too, like working with the guild. Like, at this point, Lovelace is expecting to be in direct opposition to the guild. I mean, it kind of depends on how Box of Screws reacts, but, like, we can't keep just enriching them. And, like, even if it's, like, convenient for us at the time to, like, access those resources, Box of Screws always wins in the end. The house wins. And I think it's, for Lovelace, it's time to like end that potentially violently.
Okay.
It's really fair.
Which is sad because Olive would love to have Box of Screws as like a mechanical patron.
Oh man, yeah. If Quidam has changed. I think Quidam is continuing to take into account new information. And so their thoughts, feelings, opinions, and actions will change because of that. I don't think that they have changed fundamentally as a person through this. They are emotionally tired right now, but that's temporary. Box of Screws is she's such a problem. Quidam wants nothing more to do with the guild. but they want to continue having a relationship with Box of Screws.
Yeah.
You can't always get what you want.
Yep. They're realizing that the person that they love, their sister, is Cortea, and that Box of Screws is a person who they don't really know.
Is Cortea dead? Is that how vampires work in this world? I don't know.
I don't think so. And they really, really, really want to know whether Cortea Box of Screws chose to be a vampire or not. Because if she did, that's going to entail a completely different relationship than if she didn't.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, there's a lot of threads converging on Box of Screws relationship and the guild relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Quidam is extremely close to telling Lovelace that Box of Screws is their sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very.
Just wait for the most dramatic possible time.
Yeah.
They almost did. I think it was this arc. The only thing that stopped me was that Nathan started speaking. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact circumstance.
Oh, were you both sitting on the cliff side during your travel to Vermilion?
That might have been it.
You like laid down, and then Lovelace came and found you.
Yeah, that might have been it. I'm not remembering at the moment.
Yeah, you were interrupted, I believe, by Manfred coming to find you.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to appreciate Wheezy's Breezy's comment because I really love that movie. There is no Cortea. Zool, it's Ghostbusters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, Winged Scribe asks, for me, what does Manfred think Quidam's reasons are for thinking they have a special way to convince Box of Screws of stuff? I think Manfred doesn't believe Quidam. I don't know, like maybe he thinks it's, if anything, it doesn't have anything to do with their relationship with one another. His first thoughts would be it has something to do with Quidam's powers. Could convince Box of Screws. Or that Quidam is just really naive about who Box of Screws is. Yeah. I don't think he necessarily believes that Quidam has the capabilities to change Box of Screws.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. What else? What other questions we got here?
Yeah.
I just came up with one.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've noticed that Claire, Quidam, and Lovelace have been like having more like long silence moments. And maybe this is more of a comment than a question. But like I guess I feel like as a performer, especially like being on Twitch or something, like sitting in silence can be really hard for me. Because it's just like gotta be entertaining, like we gotta, I don't know, be kind of like moving things forward all the time, especially like since our time is like so limited.
Yeah.
And at least for myself, it's like been like it has taken like 3 seasons, 3 modules to get to this point for me. And like I just wanted to like kind of hear what your thoughts about that progression has been.
Yeah, that's fair. I know that like what Quidam is experiencing in those moments is tenderness and love and affection for Lovelace, and is communicating that through prolonged eye contact. Quidam really likes eye contact. And also, that is both harder to convey on camera than it is in person, and also it's really hard to convey because we can't make eye contact. Like, I can fake eye contact by looking directly into the camera, but you don't then, or wait, no, then I don't get any of the like reciprocation that you might be giving back to me.
I feel those vibes when you do it though. It's strong.
I'm so glad.
It comes through.
I'm so glad. So yeah, that's what's happening, like character-wise.
Yeah.
Performance-wise,
You're just like in Quidam's head too much.
I'm in Quidam's head a whole darn lot. My thought is that if someone is just jumping in right when we are sharing a meaningful silence, they might jump immediately out again because we're sitting in an awkward silence. But I think I'm missing something.
I think it's fine.
Cool, I'm glad Wheezy's Breezy's. But I think the people who are in the stream already, who have the context for what's going on, I think it is just fine to good and beneficial. So I suppose I'm willing to compromise the person who might jump in and then jump out again in order to have what feels like a better performance.
Yeah. I also feel like it's somehow easier because there's only 2 of us. Whereas like my social anxiety brain, when there's like a whole bunch of party players, is already like, don't take up too much of the spotlight. You got to like give and take and share. And the fact that like everybody's involved when it's on the like one-on-one conversations, I think like makes it easier for me.
Cool. I'm
Just
glad.
that aspect.
I really like those silent moments. They feel right. And it's just that. It's just a gut feeling that it feels right. And I'm okay with operating on that, at least right now. I think it feels right. And it's been working well. I think, to your credit, Olive, when we started off, I think there were some, in like some of the earlier arcs, there were those silent moments. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of got the sense that you were a little more uncomfortable with those. And I think kind of what you're saying, it's like as these arcs have gone on, I've noticed you becoming more and more comfortable with them and letting yourself sit with it, kind of playing off of Quidam's body language and then responding. Like, I don't know, I think it's gotten like way better in terms, like I've seen that progression of both of you becoming comfortable with that. And I think it makes for really strong moments. Exactly what Wheezy's Breezy said, where it's those long pauses start to feel more like impactful and important. So, yeah.
It's interesting. Wheezy Breezes also mentions that it feels different on the podcast version
Oh,
without the visual
yeah.
input of the players clearly thinking things out. Yeah, dead air on podcasts is a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that's fair.
curious how many people are listening via podcast. We
Do
should.
not
I should
have
look.
analytics.
Yeah, we should both look. We should look at our analytics.
What are our analytics, Nathan? Question for you.
I don't know.
I mean, any of us could check.
Yeah. I did check it a while back. I'm not gonna do it right now, but yeah. Also, thanks again to Peter. I think Peter might be one of our podcast listeners. Thank you, Peter, for setting that up for us.
Yeah, I don't think about the podcast at all. I'm sorry, podcast listeners, if you're on the podcast.
It's okay. We started
You're doing great.
We started this as a Twitch stream where let's focus on one thing at a time. Awesome. Very key. What other questions do we got here?
Yeah, this is Olive. May I ask one of your questions?
Yes, ask one of my questions that I had, because
So
you also
Olive
shared
has this
it.
question, and I really like it. So I'm going to ask Nathan, was there something weird about that tree? I agree with Olive. It felt significant, but nothing, like, it feels like we didn't figure it out.
You mean the tree in the center of town?
Yeah, the tree in the center of town with the silver locket in it.
No. It's just a tree.
Why did it have a locket in it? Why?
I don't know. You'll never know. Quidam and Lovelace will never know. It's a good question.
I mean, I think the locket was there because, I mean, it was, who knows where else in a more reasonable place. And then a mean lock, like, came across it and, like, shoved it in the tree for kicks and giggles, or because it was shiny there, or I don't know why. But, like,
This will
my
make
guess
great
is-
environmental storytelling someday.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure the mean locks were thinking about how to set things up to be as creepy and frightening for random people who stumble in as possible. Like, actually, genuinely.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sorry I don't have a more satisfying answer. It's just a tree in the center of town.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Oh. Do one of you want to ask the next question? I can read it to myself.
What was the significance of that nat 20 during Quidam's stream? It felt like something happened. But then...
So, yeah, it was Quidam made a saving throw, and had Quidam failed, they would have suffered a point of exhaustion, and the nightmare would have become more extreme, mechanically speaking. Had they succeeded, they would have pushed through the nightmare, woken up, and been fine. The nat 20, I basically was like, okay, you were lucid dreaming, essentially. Like, slash, there's more going on, but yeah, it was giving the reins to Quidam, and then on top of that, I used it as an opportunity to try to have Sehanine communicate to Quidam in as clear a way as possible without straight up speaking, because so far I've been keeping everything visual with Sehanine.
I'm really grateful for that.
Cool.
It does make them feel other, which a lot of how I've seen D&D and like fantasy in general treat gods as being like powerful people, powerful humans.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that kind of relationship, but
yeah. It's just a slight tangent, but speaking on gods as being people, like, I'm not playing it currently, but I was playing Hades, and I just love that style of god, where it's even more, they are just people, like, erratic, petty, But yes, there's definitely, I don't know, I can see both. I like both interpretations, but I think what you're describing, Claire, is sometimes D&D gods can be portrayed as powerful people that are, like, they're not quite on that Greek level where they're super messy and emotional. They're more like in the, I didn't really grow up religious, but like how I imagine, Christianity, God being very omnipotent and kind of like infallible almost, like,
yeah, kind of like
they have a plan.
Yeah.
An adolescent's interpretation of God. Is that unkind? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's how I thought of God when I was, pre-12.
Yeah, again, I didn't really grow up religious, so it's harder for me to, like... Yeah. There was a time when I believed that hell was a real place, and that scared the crap out of me.
Imagine.
Yeah. Anyways. Winged Scribe has another question. Thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
no. Claire, do you want to read it?
Sure.
I read the last one.
Nathan, why was there no platinum that was out of the walls but not fully processed into items? That is not actually accurate. I had been assuming the mean locks happened during a relatively normal time. A cave-in happened, but production was going normally beforehand. Were there other people who came and looted the extracted ore? Did the mean locks hide it? What happened?
Yeah, so I didn't go into the whole, because I didn't want to get bogged down with exposition, but the whole kind of events that have happened around Vermilion was there was the accident. The miners were trapped there for, I believe it was like 2 weeks or something, maybe a week. And that tragic incident, that suffering and pain, as extreme as it was, because it was so close to a border of the Feywild, created the Meanlocks. The Meanlocks tormented the town for, I think it was like at least 3 months, if not more. Like just slowly.
You said it was months.
Yeah, months of just slowly picking people off one by one. And then people started to leave. So people who had platinum items, all those things, just started taking it with them. The blacksmiths left. They took all their stuff, at least
They
some of
didn't
it.
take all their
Didn't
stuff,
take
though.
all of it,
They left
yeah.
all the best things.
They left some stuff, yes.
Imagine what they took with them.
And then if, in terms of anything that was perhaps left behind, like those kind of remaining people, there's actually something that you didn't find, but I won't go into the details of it. But there's an implication that other people have found Vermilion and either been taken or maybe they managed to escape and probably looted whatever was there. That's my interpretation. That is how I envisioned it. It does become tricky though when it's like nobody knows about this town, or like very few people know about this town. But I don't know. That can probably pretty easily be explained with just those that escaped were literally just like opportunists that were just looting. Why would they necessarily tell people, or like they wouldn't necessarily go running around me like, there's a mine, there's a mine up there. So, especially if there's all that horrible, like if they were getting tormented just like the two of you were, so.
Yeah, I think we got that exposition in the prologue.
Yeah, I
like
think
that
there was
specific piece.
Yeah, it's like a bit of it.
Which was a while ago. But,
yeah.
Where did they sell their platinum to? Why didn't they notice that like the platinum had dried up?
It's a good question. I don't know. The only thing I could think of is that because it happened 70 years ago, there's just enough time that has passed that it's just kind of, been forgotten. That's the only thing I could think of. But yeah.
Second question. What did we miss? Please go into it. What loot should we have kept searching for and gone over like inch by inch over the town?
Just
rolling perception checks.
I'm gonna keep it vague. You got most of it. I'm gonna keep it there. Yeah. Oh, one other thing. That was actually something else. I'm kind of running off the Winged Scribe's question. The other thing that I tried to kind of reveal through the environment was that when you were going through the mine and going down those other little, side chutes and stuff, there was no sign of platinum. So that was the other thing that was going through my head, was that this mine, they were pushing deeper because they had already tapped those veins and they were trying to find the next vein, and then the accident happened. So like that could be another reason, right? That any platinum that was left out in town either got sold or taken by the time everybody left. So hopefully that's a satisfying answer.
That works for me.
Yeah. Thank you, Winged Scribe.
It's a very Winged Scribe question.
Yeah. Also, thank you, Winged Scribe, for your explanation on how to create powdered iron.
Yes. It's nice having a carpenter and blacksmith who regularly watches, because these are skills that are very relevant to this world and that the three of us don't have.
Yeah. just Olive, you asked me, have we figured out a name yet? Can you give some more context behind this? Because I still am confused by this question. This was something that happened pre-stream, by the way.
Yeah, so we have been talking about Lovelace's backstory, and there's a pretty significant
Never mind, I know
figure.
now.
Okay.
Oh, I was right in my guess.
We can't talk about it. We can't talk about it.
I wasn't gonna ask.
We can't talk about that. Keep it.
It's so good though. It makes everything fit. I've been like
very
kind of
glad.
like listless and being like, okay, like what are like Lovelace's like long-term goals? It's like boom, cool, great, classic D&D goal there.
I thought you were talking about the lizard folk.
The who?
The lizard folk that you fought that in the
Oh,
wrestling
the
pit.
wrestling thing.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like, I thought we had.
I'm going back there, by the way. That is gonna be a reoccurring event.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh my god. Okay, that all makes so much more sense now. It's like, what are you talking about? No, to answer your question. Anyways.
How do meme locks burrow? Claws, magic, a large gnome-built drilling device.
Well, sorry, one more time. What are they called?
Meme locks?
Meme locks?
Meme locks.
They use the power of memes. That's a good question. It is implied that it happens through magic, hence the like perfect shape of the burrows. This is something that I like wanted to think about more and like kind of go through the logic of like how it works. But yeah, I just haven't had time to like put that much depth into these things to be completely honest. So what I like doing is kind of what I've been trying to do with a lot of this stuff is that that's what the stories say and that's what people assume. What actually happens is still, like it could be something else.
Mm-hmm.
What would be a fun explanation besides like magic?
Just magic. Well, the thing is, if it's magic, like I'm fine with it just being magic, but there needs to be like I like it to have some sort of catalyst or like method for doing it. Which I mean, it could be as fairy tale as like the emotional response creates creates that to happen.
But like it's so like windy
Yeah.
and like catacomby. So like what
Yeah.
kind of process would make that kind of undirected? Is it like
I mean, if it's fear and trauma, like it's just a physical representation of that, of confusion and fear and being lost in the dark,
okay,
But-
okay. Here's some world building.
Yeah.
Here's a pitch.
Yeah.
So have you ever had a dream where like your legs give out and you can't like run? Or
Yes.
like something's
Well,
like chasing you?
Yeah, I have the one where it's like my
Moving through
running is all,
molasses.
yeah. I'm like,
Uh-huh. What if
everything's
it's
all
like-
messed up.
When they're turning folks into meme locks? I'm stuck on saying meme locks. Like they're having dreams like that and they're like running through molasses and like there's some kind of like weird dream
Ooh.
like world overlap and like those people leave trails in the like real world.
What if the
as they, like-
Moonlocks are able to almost guide those people in their dreams and their nightmarish dreams? And yes, they leave the trails, but the Moonlocks, the Moonlocks are directing them. Because the thing that always bothered me is that if it created spontaneously, these creatures feel like they should have some agency over it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I do really like that. That's a great idea, Olive, of the nightmares of the people that they torment help them build their lair. That's a really cool concept.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's weird and gross, and I like it.
Yeah.
and like so how does it end though? Like does it like the monster finally gets them while they're running and then
Yeah,
they're
and
meme
then
locked? Like
Then they they metamorphose us into the next meanlock. Yeah, that would probably be the end result of the nightmare.
I feel like we could.
That's not quite like the frightening thing is not being eaten. It is
Whatever.
It is trying to avoid being eaten.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
What if it's like you keep running until like you actually tunnel your way through to like the Shadowfell or something, and then you just leave your old vessel behind, and like then in that void that your like mind has left, like the Meanlock kind of like hatches from, and so like those souls are doomed to like flee through the Shadowfell forevermore.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, that's
pretty
horrible.
Cool. I definitely pictured that the soul of the individual didn't necessarily leave. Like they are still trapped in there, just warped. So maybe they're just. Yeah, I don't know.
Being forced to experience the emotions. I mean, then we start getting to what a soul exactly is, which is we don't have, a lifetime. But yeah, I think that it would make more sense for the soul to remain in some form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just like stuck twisting on these like patterns of like trauma and fear over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's like they're still running through their mind, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, this is kind of a cool idea that like those first people that got trapped and they're stuck there, the Meanlocks, I don't know, they're drawn to it, through the veil. They come in and they start increasing those nightmares, which then allows them to start creating that layer or something like that. Like, yeah, that's a great idea, Olive. I really love the idea of the nightmares creating the tunnels.
Oh yeah.
Super cool. Yeah.
Cool. That was a complete shitpost to the question that went somewhere interesting. Love those.
So all of you have a question here. Why didn't you do a magic afterlife thing with the last Meanlock? What magic afterlife?
Yeah,
thing?
okay. So in that last situation in the manor, where we just had cornered that last frightened Meanlock, I was like racking my brain. I'm like, I don't have any D&D abilities, which like is a really important crutch for me.
I have a crush on some D&D abilities. I mean, let's be real.
But like they're really important for me to like as like a seed of like figuring out which direction like some kind of situation can go, and like mine are just hitting things. So I was like, I don't have any way to resolve this magical transformation situation. And then I realized like after the stream ended that I absolutely do. Every time I go into a rage, there's these weird ghost hands, like have some kind of connection to like afterlives. And like I could have spun something like that, and that would have been like a really good way to kind of advance Lovelace's personal plot and kind of evolving of her powers, because I feel like we've been like at the same level since day one, where it's like she rages, there are these like weird hands that do stuff.
That would have been her first time choosing her rage.
Yeah.
The effects of her rage.
Yeah. It would have been great. The things we think of later.
Next time.
Yeah. I still think the scene played out really nicely.
Yeah, I think it was really powerful, and I'm happy where we ended up.
I agree with.
I want to magically resolve people's problems.
Oh, I agree with Olive's statement. Your statement, Olive, of it was very powerful. I don't know if it was good. Oh gosh, that was such a mess.
Yeah, Claire, how did you feel that last encounter went?
Oh, yeah.
Like, was it true to our characters? How did like Quidam evolve?
I mean, it felt very true to our characters. Quidam. So another thing Quidam struggles with is really grokking that choosing not to act is just as significant as choosing to act, and one can help and harm just as much by not acting as one can by acting. They were really having trouble choosing to commit violence in order to put Lee out of her misery. And so they chose not to act. And they chose to try and alleviate suffering. And just let Lovelace do the dirty work. And that didn't feel good to them even in the moment. And then there was that miscommunication about what Lovelace actually was doing when, and Quidam just kind of assumed that Lovelace would do what they think is her usual thing and just attack. And so it was fine to turn off the light, and
I was about to, but then I couldn't because you turned off the light.
Yeah, Quidam just didn't really think that through really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like Quidam picked a whole bouquet of whoopsie daisies right there, but
yeah, we all made mistakes near there at the end.
I love that expression, by the way.
Whoopsie daisies. Or a whole
bouquet of whoopsie daisies.
I've never heard it. It's pretty amazing.
A bouquet, that's what you're saying, because
Bouquet
they're
of
daisies.
whoopsie daisies.
Yeah.
A nice floral arrangement.
Yeah, it felt really messy. It felt bad. But it felt really rewarding. Yeah, I'm very pleased that it happened.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brain is now stuck on other like flower whoopsies.
Interesting.
Yeah, Wheezy's Breezy's, that's fair. I totally can see the interpretation of Quidam deliberately giving her a chance to escape. That's not what I was intending, but I totally see how you could think that. Yep. I would not blame you for thinking so.
This blows roses.
No. No. This isn't a question, but I did want to just take the opportunity here to slightly clarify the whole family tree thing that got super mixed up. So there was the mayor of the town, Lee Duvizin, whose wife was Tifra. They had 2 children, Nia and Tavin. Tifra left the town with Nia and Tavin.
I've already lost you,
Come
Nathan.
on, 2 children.
I can't.
They left the town, the 3 of them. Tifra remarried, had another kid named Garthol. That was the whole roundabout thing of meeting that other person, and they were like, "Oh, my," it's like my aunt's cousin or something. Anyways,
I'll drop a little family tree.
Draw a little, it'll be on our characters spreadsheet or something.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Droppies the poppies? What? Did you come up with that, Wheezies Freezies? I don't know
I
about
think
that
so.
one.
This is the more whoopsie daisies.
Oh, man.
What rhymes with rhododendron?
Well, that was all of our, questions that we have prepared. If anybody else has any other questions, feel free to ask. Do either of you have anything else you're curious about?
How's it gonna end? Did we do good? Did we do a good job?
Just have to find out.
I don't know if
See
we
what
did a
happens.
good job.
I don't think we did a good job.
I want to speculate about some stuff.
Yeah, can we
There's
speculate
questions.
wildly?
Sure. Speculate wildly.
Go for it.
Okay, so I am starting to suspect that Nine Fingers Keen is like planning something. That she is like trying to take down the crews, and Box of Screws might actually genuinely be about to be in some hot water if she doesn't get us on the payroll officially here soon. Because making us into double agents would be very effective. Like, would be like a valid way to take care of us, as it were. That's what I think's going on with Nine Fingers Keen, at least. That, like, actually, if we don't join, things might happen to Box of Screws, even if they're not like dramatic and immediate. Because Nine Fingers knows that Box of Screws has some kind of contact with some crew.
That's good speculation.
Do you have any speculation, Olive?
I mean, my speculation is the same as Lovelace's. Like, Box of Screws is power hungry, looking to climb in the ranks.
Oh yeah.
There's always infighting in the guild and like jockeying in position. And this was like kind of a, unlikely to work but high reward mission that also like got us out of the city. And I feel like we're useful but inconvenient to have when someone starts poking around asking about crews. We might just like wander in and be like, hey, Dusa, at the wrong time. Yeah. Box of Screws wants platinum.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll have to see what happens.
I wonder how the guild is structured to a certain extent, because like clearly the kingpins are like the second in commands sort of thing after the leader. Is Nine Fingers wise enough, or even not necessarily wise enough, but powerful enough to make sure that one kingpin doesn't take over more than one neighborhood? Like, could a kingpin start just kind of gathering the lower city under their control, for example? Because then suddenly they're a threat, like a genuinely potential threat to Nine Fingers. But that might be a way to get to the top. Like these Box of Screws. I mean, she has, forever, millennia now. She doesn't need to be in any kind of hurry if she wants to take over the guild. This is what I think about before going to sleep at night. Like, I lie in bed with the lights out and think about this kind of stuff.
Well, awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. Cool. Yeah, I don't know if there's really much more to talk about for this arc. It was I had a lot of fun. I hope both of you did.
Thank
It
you
was so
much.
scary.
Yes.
Good.
Remember when we didn't know the name of the meme locks? And it's just like, these are just scary things that are happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
It got a lot less scary after I knew their names.
Yeah. Their names don't really strike fear in the hearts of folks, I feel like, but I'm not gonna answer that one, Wheezy's Breezy's motivation for becoming a vampire. Or that was
A
probably
box of
just...
screws are ours.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry, I got really distracted. I was like looking over and something popped up and it really distracted me. Yes, the arc was fun. I'm glad that it was scary. I'm sorry that I gave you a jump scare, but I guess I did a decent job there. So
You did a good job, definitely.
Yay. So on that note, we are going to be taking a holiday break. We're going to take the next 2 weeks off, and we'll be back in the new year. Just so we actually have the date. I don't have it off the top of my head. Do either of you?
Nope.
Momentarily.
Calendars are easy to pull up.
They certainly are.
Story
Ooh,
Reckless next on the 10th of January.
10th of January, that's right, yeah. So we're going to be taking the 27th and the 3rd off, and then we'll be back on the 10th. Yeah, and we'll be starting our next arc. I don't know if there's any other announcements from there. Do either of you have anything?
Is this going to be Lovelace's arc, or...?
We'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah. I have some ideas. We'll talk about it to kind of figure out what the two of you are doing, and then see where it goes. I had one more thing I wanted to say. I think that's it, though. Yeah. Yeah. But thank you, everybody, so much. I hope you have a lovely holiday, and we'll be seeing you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be seeing us. We'll be seeing your names and numbers in the washing count, either during or after.
Yeah.
Not that we watch those obsessively or anything.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. And did you have
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Good night.